Good afternoon and welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Thank you for joining us here this Friday afternoon on Gulfstream Today. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Acacia Courtney here to look at this 11 race program and talk about several other things. We've got a lot of exciting things that are quickly in our horizons. Actually, tomorrow, of course, on the world stage, we have the Dubai World Cup.
It is, and you can watch it right here at Gulfstream Park. Silks will be open early at 8 a.m. We'll pick it up with the third race from Dubai and go all the way through the Dubai World Cup, which will go off around 12:45 our time. And you'll see lots of horses over in Dubai that you might have seen run here at Gulfstream Park. Of course, the Pegasus World Cup being well represented with Arrogate, Keen Ice, and Neolithic.
And we've got Sharp Azteca running there for Jorge Navarro and Edgar Zayas aboard. So it's funny, we see a lot of our trainers here at Gulfstream and even our jockey colony. They've kind of upped and left us and went to Dubai, including Javier Castellano, of course, and Johnny Velazquez, along with several others. Really looking forward to Long on Value running too for Belmont. We're well represented with Mind Your Biscuits and of course all of those that did participate in the Pegasus World Cup in the Dubai World Cup tomorrow. So make sure you come out here. 12:45 is the post time for the Dubai World Cup. Our first post time will be 12:35, so we'll be underway and ready to go by the time that does start. So really looking forward to that. Great card, even on the undercard for Dubai World Cup Day. As we get to next week, or tomorrow, excuse me, I also wanted to mention some of the guarantees that we will have. We've got guarantees in the pick 6, the pick 5, and the late pick 4.
And we've seen that pick 6 carryover. It's past $1 million, which we'll try and tackle it today. But if it's not hit today, tomorrow the guaranteed pool for that Rainbow 6 will be $1.5 million. And I think it could even be way over that because it will be
I definitely think
very
it will be
well
over that.
Yeah, and it is a manageable sequence. Ron and I took a look at it this morning, and you'll be able to look at that. But we'll have that starting in race 8 tomorrow on the 13 race card. Also guarantees in the pick 5, $200,000 and $250,000 in the late pick 4.
So there's no excuse not to come out, and there's no excuse not to bet either. It's a great sequence, as we said, with those guarantees. And wanted to mention also next weekend, obviously, is leading into Florida Derby weekend. We will, if the Rainbow 6 is not hit in the meantime, we will have a mandatory payout in the Rainbow 6 the day following Florida Derby. So that will take place on the Sunday program.
And everything must go that day, so keep an eye out on that. And all of those wagers as we round out the championship meet. It's hard to believe it's coming to a close, but as you said, of course, highlighted by the Florida Derby next Saturday, we'll have the draw for that on Wednesday.
And that will actually happen at 11 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So looking forward to that. And looking forward to really all of the local horses making their final preparations for the Florida Derby. I was up at Gulfstream Park West the first time actually going there. I know you spent a couple days over the summer.
A couple months, actually.
Excuse me, a couple months over the summer at Gulfstream Park West. And it was definitely fun to go out there. Antonio Sano spent the morning with him in Guinevere, who will make his final work tomorrow morning. It was definitely a fun situation there because Antonio Sano, just a great person and a great story leading into the Florida Derby.
And it's so great to see the enthusiasm coming from his barn. And we talked about this back in the Fountain of Youth. I think he made it all the way to the first turn running after his horse, and they're just so excited, looking forward to the journey for the Kentucky Derby. But as you said, it looks like it's going to be a stellar field next weekend, and really looking forward to seeing everybody on their way to Kentucky.
He said he was so confident that the horse was winning. Usually he watches the race from up in his box, but he was right next to the winner's circle.
He was ready to go.
He was confident. So hopefully he has enough confidence going into the Florida Derby next weekend as well. We'll take a look at today's program, though, and of course the action continues. Today is Beat the Expert Day, as it takes place every Friday. And Acacia, you are up.
I am up, so I have my picks in. You have just a little bit more than an hour until 12:35 p.m. with our first post to get your picks in. Go to our Facebook page and you can get that link there. Also posted on Twitter and all of those good things. Don't forget to use hashtag #BeatTheExpert. Let us know that you're playing. We have 11 races today, and if you pick more winners than me, you can win one of those great polo shirts and all those bragging rights. And as you said, every Friday, so hopefully I do pretty well today.
I think you will. Yes. I think we've definitely turned a corner in the past couple of weeks, although I did not do very well last weekend, but better fortune to you today. We'll take a look at our wagering menu, and of course we start things off in the first race. In the race 1 is that rolling super high 5 that takes place in every single race with 7 or more betting interest. Race 1 also does kick off that 50-cent early pick 5. Acacia will have a ticket for that. As we move along to the 6th race today, that does kick off the 20-cent Rainbow 6, and that's right, you see it, it's not a lie. We've got it over $1 million today in that Rainbow 6 sequence. So looking forward to that. And in the 7th race, that does start the 50-cent late pick 5. We're going to have tickets galore for you this afternoon, and we'll talk about each race in the sequence here as we start things off. We had a little bit of precipitation this morning, but as of now, fast and firm. I think we might even expect some showers later today, but we shall see as the day goes by. Perfect weather right now. You couldn't really ask for better weather. As we get to today's opener, we started off at 5 furlongs on the turf. Acacia, walk us through your early pick 5 ticket.
Well, a little bit more expensive for the early pick 5, $54. Again, trying to pad that bankroll for that huge Rainbow 6, and then the late pick 5 later on. Was pretty formful yesterday. We'll see if we can get it home today. So no single to start off, going 3 by 2 by 3, 2, and then 3 in the finale. Thought it was kind of wide open. I am trying to go against Stockyard in the 4th using both him and Uncle Guy.
I like it. As we get to the opener, once again, 5 furlongs on the turf for this non-winners of 2 lifetime condition, and for that claiming price of $16,000. And the 6 Axtell is probably the horse to beat, 9 to 5 on the morning line. He's faced this level of competition in the past 2 starts, but I think this might be an easier field than what he's faced lately.
It is, and I like the turn back in distance to 1 turn for him too. His last win when he broke his maiden was going the 5 furlongs. It was a couple starts back, and it was after a layoff too. So facing the non-winners of 2 in his past couple of starts. He also had trouble last time where he did hit the gate at the break, and he was just really far back, left with a lot of work to do. So I like him going a little bit shorter. Hope that he sits a bit closer. It did take him a long time to break his maiden, so maybe that's the con, but I do think that he's meeting a manageable field today.
I agree, and the only thing that I thought was discouraging, so this is a horse that stretched out from 5 furlongs to 2 turns last time out, and I agree. I think he's better at 5 furlongs or just 1 turn distances in general. After that poor break, he broke dead last after hitting the gate. He never really recuperated after that, and we never saw him get into another gear, which I thought was kind of a negative visually. But I believe, did we show the stat on this move? On Axtell going from route to sprint.
We do have a stat.
Yeah.
We will show that.
I couldn't remember if we showed it yet.
We didn't show it yet, and we will show it. This is Mark Cassie in the past 5 years going from route to sprint on the turf at Gulfstream Park, looking in the past 5 years. But he does great work with this move. It's just a slightly under $2 ROI, $1.97, but percentage is very, very strong.
So with that, yes, I think this is the right move. Mark Hesse does a great job kind of cutting back with these types of distances. But that was my one concern with his most recent performance. Whereas Policy Portfolio, look, this is a total question mark here for Aubrey Mirage. This is never easy to get turf horses off of Mike Maker and improve or even make lateral moves, but I thought he was highly compromised by his post position last time out. It almost looked like he overcompensated for that bad post position by sending him really aggressively out of the gate, not kind of getting into that natural momentum. So he still draws the outermost post position, but it's a 7-horse field. I'm hoping that he can just get a more comfortable trip.
And the only other one that I thought would really be speed, maybe Moonstricking has speed, but I think he tends to show more speed on the dirt versus on the turf. And then the 4 Ari Dios, who we both had a little bit of interest in, but he's an interesting one because he comes out of some strong races on the turf, so maybe he'll show some speed, but it might be easier for Policy Portfolio because last time out hustled up is the comment, and that's really what happened to him. But Ari Dios did break his maiden going the 2 turns, but even his 1-turn race at Gulfstream Park Rest I thought was pretty good. He did finish behind Xanto, who came back to win a non-winners of 2 with a 67 Beyer speed figure. So I think that he's coming out of some pretty decent races on the turf, but he hasn't raced since the beginning of December.
We'll see how it all shakes out. You use 3 horses to start off that 50-cent pick 5 as we turn the page to the second, 5.5 furlongs on the dirt for this open 6250 claiming condition. And we do have a heavy favorite in here, and that is the 2, My Johnny Be Good. 7-5 on the morning line, and I think this horse's best attribute is definitely his speed.
It is, and I looked trying to go elsewhere for this horse, or for this race, excuse me, and trying to pick against him, but I really think that his speed is his best weapon. I picked against him 2 starts back when he was bet down 10 cents to the dollar, and then he won by 4 lengths that day. So even when there looked to be some other speed in the race, I just think that he gets out to the front and he never really looks back. That was notching his non-winners of 3. Now, he's changed hands quite a few times in his most recent starts, so maybe he's kind of been all over the place, but one thing is consistent, and that is his speed, and I just think he's the fastest in here.
And he very well could be. We do have the 1 Jack West, who I think probably has to send from the rail, but we kind of saw a similar situation in a race yesterday where apology not accepted, I believe, and that horse was definitely the heavy favorite, but they're figured to be another speed type in there. My Johnny Be Good can probably just press from the outside. I think that could be probably the best position for him. But last time was the first time facing that open condition. Yes, he's got some back class going against 2 other than Allowance Company, but he's had to take really aggressive drops in class as of late. So the 3 Amaze was where I did land for Luis Luna. I just think that, you know, he's coming out of a very tough race. He was outclassed. He's faced open company before, and he hasn't had much success, but I'm hoping that pace scenario kind of comes to fruition in front of him, and he's going to be one to be closing late.
He will be closing late. He did win against 12-5 condition claimers 2 starts back, so perhaps a little bit of maybe a little bit stronger field than what he'll face today. Also looking at the number 5, 7 of Jack to maybe be closing from off of it. I thought that he might just sit a good trip, and he's been consistent around the same level of competition.
As those horses have a tendency to go a little bit in and out of form, so we'll see if we can get through the second race there as we turn to the third, a maiden $25,000 event. We're going 1 mile and an 1/8 on the turf, and wanted to go back and show you a video spotlight replay of the 1 Leopard Cat, last seen finishing second against maiden $25,000 company.
And he's the number 5 there that day, and he did finish second. It was a very big drop in class from the maiden special weight to the maiden 25 level. It was off of a 4-month layoff as well, and it was also his first time with Lasix. It was just a lot of things thrown at this horse.
The kitchen sink.
The kitchen sink, really. The winner, DeRocher, you can see, just wired the field that day. And I thought that Leopard Cat actually closed pretty strongly. Now he stays at this level. He was a little bit wide throughout in that race. And he was, yes, a well-beaten second. But again, he was chasing a wire-to-wire winner.
Exactly. And I thought that from a pace scenario, he was up against it. I thought he did get a perfect trip. He just could not catch that wire-to-wire winner. So with an inside post position, he should be able to sit that perfect stalking trip. I did kind of have some interest in maybe some others in here, and one of them, or before we move on, we wanted to show a stat for Leopard Cat.
And we will show this on trainer Brian Lynch in here for Leopard Cat in the past 5 years. Second off the layoff in claiming races on the turf. Now, it is a negative ROI, but again, it's pretty broad. It's all claiming, not just looking at maiden claiming. Strong percentages, 20% win more than half of the time in the money, and you can bet that this horse is going to take a lot of money in here based off of that race last time.
Exactly. He really did nothing wrong except just be defeated by a wire-to-wire winner, whereas the 3 Chasing the Dream, you know, he's been beaten favorite in the past several starts. He's faced this level of competition in the past 3 starts, so he very well could be beaten again today. But I like the fact that Jose Ortiz comes back aboard, and last time out he was actually squeezed back out of position out of the gate, and then after that he became a little bit rank. Kind of hard for Jose Ortiz to get him to settle, and unfortunately once again he's coming out of the same race behind Leopard Cat where DeRocher, the winner, went wire to wire. Nobody was making up any bit of ground. So coming out of that race hoping for a better break today, I thought that he could he could maybe win, but of course he's been burning some tickets lately.
He has, and that's why I used him a little bit further down. Now, I certainly respect him. You love to see that Jose Ortiz rode him last time and is going to ride him back, and we say all the time about Mike Maker and Jose Ortiz on the turf. You don't want to leave them off if you can help it, but I was intrigued by the 2 Golden Decision, who's dropping in class, and this horse really, the only, I would say, the blemish would be the race that was taken off of the turf and on a sloppy track. Now, last time out, he was a big price. He didn't really show up too much, but the blinkers come off, and he adds Lasix today, plus the drop in class. Talk about the kitchen sink. This horse is getting it in here today. Maybe not the highest percentage barn, but I just think on the class and the promise that he showed in his debut race, actually in November. Yes, it was at Gulfstream Park West, but he made up a lot of ground in that race, which is difficult to do over that turf course at that track. So I'll give him a little bit of a try today.
Okay, I looked at the 4 Luther D a little bit. Icebox, about 16%, maybe getting to the turf for the first time. Not a huge influence, but on the bottom side, he is kin to a 2-time turf winner, so does have to step up in class and does have to prove that he can translate his form to the turf. We get to the 4th race, a $50,000 conditional claimer for 4-year-olds and upward, which have never won 2 races, or 4-year-olds, as we get to the turf at 1 1/16. And wanted to go back and show a video spotlight replay also of Stockyard and Fire on Fire coming out of the same race last out.
And I thought that both of these horses ran very strongly. Stockyard, Fire on the inside, and Stockyard broke pretty sharply in here, but we ended up seeing Fire on Fire get the lead. He was technically stepping up in competition, and I thought that these 2 were just dueling right down to the wire. You can see Derby Champagne closing on the outside, but really these 2 horses incredibly game. Stockyard did end up getting the win that day. He's looking to make it 2 in a row. Probably will take a lot more money today. But again, I think that we're both trying to look elsewhere in this race.
I don't quite trust Stockyard in here. And I know he won last time out, and I know that was the first time dropping in for the tag. But something about him seems a little bit untrustworthy. And look, he got a beautiful pressing position last time out. Perfect ride. Great aggressive ride by Luis Saez, who's back aboard today. I thought that Fire on Fire was actually up against it. He did the majority of the dirty work, kind of dueling on the inside. So now with the difference in post positions, Fire on Fire drew the rail last time out. Now he's on the outside of Stockyard. So maybe they could flip-flop in there. But like you said, we're both opting for different horses. You opt for the 6 Uncle Guy, who looks to be closing.
Looks to be closing, and that's why I did that, because I do think that Fire on Fire will still try to press and show that speed from the outside, because I do think that's where he's most effective. Stockyard also has quite a bit of speed as well, and we haven't seen Taste for Talent in a long time, but he showed some speed before that big layoff. Now, Uncle Guy last time out had a starter allowance company, and it was reined off of the turf. That was his first time for Fernando Abreu. Now he's back on the turf, and he's got some back class. He's even tried Stakes Company on the turf prior to the barn switch when he was with Mike Maker and owned by the Ramseys. And I don't have complete confidence in here today. Like I said, I'm using both him and Stockyard on the pick 5, but looking for an alternative, I thought he might be coming from off the pace.
I like Sight in here for a couple of reasons. Not because he seems evenly paced in some of his races, but for other reasons. I like the post position. I think it could maybe make him a bit more closer to the pace now with kind of the shorter field in the pace scenario that we were talking about. So a good post position for him. And his form is actually a lot like Stockyard's, in that today, unlike Stockyard last time out, did drop in for the $50,000 tag, but today Sight is in for that $50,000 tag. So he's taken a drop in class from Allowance Company. I think he's good at this distance, maybe even prefers to go a little bit longer. Jose Lezcano now in the saddle. So I just wanted a new face out of what we saw from Stockyard and Fire on Fire. So did opt for him in there. We'll take a look at the 5th race here. We're going 7 furlongs onto the main track for this starter allowance optional claimer. And we do have a scratch of the one Got It towards the inside. And I thought that scratch kind of it impacted the pace scenario. I thought this horse might have sent from the rail.
I thought so too. He really had seemed to show quite a lot of speed on the dirt in particular. So a key scratch, especially from the rail. Do expect there to be a little bit of other pace in here, but sometimes when you think that everybody's going to go, then nobody really goes. So we'll see how it shakes out in here, but I did land on the number 4, Charlie the Greek, cutting back in distance big time. Now, he ran at 9 furlongs last time out, and now he cuts back to the 7/8, and he's been pretty consistent. He's been a horse that's just been in good form lately, and last time out, he was second in between Always Dreaming and Unbridled Holiday, 2 horses that are on the trail to go into the Florida Derby. So he was definitely keeping some really strong company last time out. And I don't know really which distance he wants to run, or if he really just runs to his competition and whatever spot he might be in, just looking at it from a class perspective and what he faced last time.
And yes, and I thought Always Dreaming, he kind of got away with his own devices on the front end. We were all talking about how slow the race is actually run because he managed to get loose on the lead. Unbridled Holiday, obviously talented horse too. So Charlie the Greek, I think, will be bet off of that last performance, but he's also faced open $35,000 claimers and lost against them recently, and he's been beaten by Epic Drama and even the number 2 in here, Chatham. So that's where I thought that he might be vulnerable. But look, I'm going with a filly in the race, and that's a 3, Easy's Mistress, and I'm just trying to figure out who might be best at 7 furlongs. And her best race was actually going 6.5 furlongs, and she's never quite gone 7/8. I think that going 7 furlongs, though, and looking at her physically, it's always looked like she's kind of a 7/8, maybe 1-turn mile type of horse. So she could probably sit that nice stalking trip. And I don't think she's really hindered by the scratch of the 1 in here.
I don't think so either. I think that she'll be forwardly placed. She actually did kind of wire the field to break her maiden. That was at Gulfstream Park West, which really is the best way to do it in there. So she'll be forwardly placed. I think that stalking will be to her benefit. I thought, especially now with the scratch, that the number 5 Epic Drama might be the main speed in here, who did actually face Stakes Company in the American Fabius at the 7 furlongs, 2 starts back, and coming off of a pretty strong second last time out. There was no beating my friend that day.
And he's run well at 7 furlongs. Obviously, you see as a winner at 7 furlongs, but that was via disqualification, and that was also on a sloppy sealed track. So still some guesswork involved in that particular horse as well. That's races 1 through 5. We took a look at the early pick 5. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll tackle that 20-cent Rainbow 6 at carryover over $1 million today, right after this.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet, we are racing.
Saturday, April 1st, witness the country's best 3-year-olds face off in the Grade 1 ExpressBet.com Florida Derby, an epic day of thoroughbred racing, the crowning event of the championship meet. Over $2.5 million on the line. It all comes down to this: the Grade 1 ExpressBet.com Florida Derby, only at Gulfstream Park. Derby champions start here. Saturday, April 1st, the ExpressBet.com Florida Derby. First race, 12 p.m. Welcome to your playground, Gulfstream Park.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Now taking a look at the 20-cent Rainbow 6. It does start in the 6th race today. We've got a carryover over $1 million. Now, really interesting today. Of course, we've got that $1 million carryover today, but if it is not hit, we will have that guaranteed pool tomorrow afternoon of $1.5 million. But today is today, and I have a single, and I also have a pretty affordable ticket, Acacia. This is going to be $43.20. I went 3 by 3 by 3. Singling on Kinsley Kisses later today. I believe we might have the same single. She's even money. She should win for sure. You know, horse racing's horse racing, but she is by far the best in that race. As we move along, just using 2 horses in the 10th and then spreading in the final leg of the sequence with 11. Let's hope we make it that far, and we'll start it off with this open 12,500 $5,000 race, excuse me. We're going out to the turf at the mile. Acacia, how did you see this race?
Well, I landed on Golden Point. I actually defaulted to this horse because of the scratch of the 8 Northeast Bound. We'll see that horse in this weekend. He's been re-entered. But Golden Point will do it for me in here. I liked him in my top picks anyway after that win last time out. And winners last time out on the turf isn't the strongest move for the barn, just 2 for 14. But they do finish in the money about half of the time. And this is a horse that's just been in pretty strong form. I think his race on a good turf 2 starts back can be forgiven a little bit. But prior to that, even though it took him a while to kind of notch that non-winners of 3 condition, he's been running some solid races.
And the main concern, or not concern really, but kind of the question mark is where will the main speed come from, I guess. We saw Ginger Goose kind of chase the pace that was going 7.5 furlongs, now stretching out to farther distances. Golden Point stalked the pace last time out. I could maybe foresee a similar circumstance today, and that's why I like him, is that he's actually, he kind of transitions well, whether there's lack of pace or too much pace. He's very tactical, so that's where I like him. He did get a perfect trip last time out, and I like the fact that Paco Lopez is aboard today because he got him in the game a little bit sooner, and I thought that was how he won the race. But other than him, we have the 5 Unicat here, who I think gets a pretty big class relief and also comes back to a firm course, something that he didn't have in his past 2 starts.
I like him on the firm course, and you just have to look at him just by the fact that he's going from Allowance Company with some really tough running horses in there all the way down to this $12,500 tag. Now he is cutting back in distance. I kind of even wonder if he wants maybe a little bit longer than a mile, maybe a mile, a 16th, even a mile and an 1/8. But his last 2 races did come on the firm turf courses up at Woodbine. He is 0 for 5 on this turf course at Gulfstream, but as we said, just based on that class drop, you have to respect him.
And maybe even Vitalago in with the lightweight of Nicky Figueroa, 7-pound apprentice. Maybe this horse could find himself a little bit closer to the pace. He's also coming off of a layoff since June, so maybe he should be fresh and sharp out of the gate as well. We'll turn the page to the 7th race here, and this does kick off the final pick 5 of the day. This is the State Bred Maiden Special Weight going to the turf at a mile. Acacia, let's see your ticket. I'm going to foresee that I think you probably have the same single as I do.
I do. So hopefully Kinsley Kisses can carry the weight of both of us. I also spread in the finale. I think that that's a race that you want a lot of coverage in. Nice and affordable for me today, too. I'm just using 2 horses to start things off with Happy Wanderer, the probable favorite, and a first-time starter for Mark Cassie in Great Kahuna. Then using 3 single in the 9th, 3, and then 4 in the finale.
I like it, and I think you've got the right 2, at least hopefully. That's my exact in this race as we get to this field. We've got some really nice pedigrees in here. We've got a couple of nice looking first-time starters, but I think Happy Wanderer is definitely the big question mark now, stretching out to 2 turns. This horse has been sprinting at 5/8 for the past couple of starts and really got into some trouble last time out.
Rough trip is the comment, and I think that's just a good way to put it. And we'll go back and show that race. Starting with the break, he did kind of break off balance, so keep your eyes on the number 3 there. He broke off balance and then was jostled around. You can see the jock, even kind of Jose Lascano, tip out of his saddle a little bit after the break, maybe just not comfortable at all early on. And then I thought he got a little bit rank as he was going on the back stretch. He had his head up. He never really seemed to settle. And then there was just a lot of movement going on in that race as well. He was in pretty tight. A lot of it rank. There he goes now. We can really see it. And we're not going to show it all the way through the wire, but this was the point that I really wanted to emphasize. And you can see that he was beaten by over 5 lengths. And I think a big part of that is because he expended so much energy on the backstretch and heading into the final turn.
And here's the issue with a horse like this. So 5 furlongs first time out. He did go 5.5 furlongs first time out at Saratoga. And he broke slowly in that race, but he was posted way outside of horses, 9 of 10, so that he could actually recover and then find his way to the lead without any bit of an interference, whereas in the past 2 starts, he still has been breaking slowly, but he's been caught behind a wall of horses, and then, as we saw, has just been getting so rank and really hard to manage. So now, stretching out to 2 turns, the question is, can he do it? He's bred to get this distance, but why has he been sprinting 5 furlongs for his career thus far? It's not really a Bill Mott type of move.
Right.
But I think he's going to be lone speed.
He really could be, and that's why I used him on the pick 5. I do need to see a little bit more from him. Maybe with a little bit of extra distance, maybe he'll get more forwardly placed and just get into the race a little bit sooner, which I think will be the key for him. But I did go with the first-time starter in Great Kahuna, just looking at the pedigree in here as well. This horse is beautifully bred. He's one of 2 in here for Mark Cassie. Now, there's some precocity as well. The mare did win first time out, and he is kin, of course, to multiple graded stakes winner, $3.3 million earner, looking at Lucky, and also multiple graded stakes winner Kenzie, who won first out as well. Neither of those tried the turf. He is kin to another horse that won 5 times on the turf in Guts and Glory as well. So a little bit of questions, but beautiful breeding, and thinking maybe in this wide open field, a first-time starter could do it.
The mare has been quite a producer, and really the foals have run and won on anything. So I don't think that turf should be an issue first time out, especially given the influence of Smart Strike on the top side. And we've seen a lot of these live oak first-time starters be very live, no pun intended. So I think that you might have the right to. And here, just looking towards some others, the 5 Tipsy Kitten I thought could be maybe effective here. I almost wonder if he wants more distance. He doesn't look like he's got a lot of speed. And we've got an interesting first-time starter towards the inside, the one caught for trainer George Weaver on the bottom side. The mare actually won twice on the turf. So looking forward to that really salty maiden special weight as we get to the 8th race on the card. This is a maiden $25,000 event. We're going 6 furlongs onto the main track, and my top selection scratched in here. I was really trying to beat the 3 Gold Shark at 6-5 with the 2 John's approval. But as they say, it is what it is, and here we are. But you still landed on the 4 equity.
I did. I was trying to beat Gold Shark as well. It's just too short a price for me to take for a horse that's 0 for 13. Yes, he's got a lot of speed. Maybe now with the scratch of John's approval, he will be the lone speed in here. But I do think there may be some other horses that can be forwardly placed. And just as we said, this is a horse that's done well, just hasn't been able to make it to the winner's circle just yet. So it did land on equity, cutting back in distance for trainer Jose Pinchin, and he's actually run pretty well, sprinting against maiden special weight type. So that's kind of what I'm going off of in here. He has Jose Ortiz in the saddle too, which is never a bad thing, and at 6-1, I'll take it over that short price favorite.
He could definitely win. At least he's consistent in his numbers. He's been really running kind of similar races in the past couple of starts, and maybe he's just meeting the right company here today. But the 7 Majestic Endeavor, this was kind of another horse that interested me. I didn't have enough guts to pick this horse on top after his last race. Maybe it was the conditions of the track. It was sloppy sealed. He was coming in off of a layoff, now dropping for that $25,000 tag. But there have been moments of brilliance with this horse. At Churchill, he ran a 72 Beyer speed figure. He almost broke his maiden against Maiden Special Weight Company. I guess the question is, what happened last time out, and is he going to do the same thing today?
And it's interesting that he came off of the big 8-month layoff and still in maiden special weight last time, and even though it was a sloppy track, they drop him immediately to the maiden 25 level. But going off of that race at Churchill that you pointed out, definitely was strong. I did have interest in the 6 Exclusive Reward. That maiden $50,000 race last time was a very tough for level race, and he does get some class relief today.
9th race on the card. This does start the final pick 3 of the day. 6 furlongs on the main track for this 2 other than allowance optional claimer. And this is where your single, my single, maybe Ron Nicoletti's single comes into play. And that is the number 3, Kinsley Kisses. She's even money on the morning line, and she faced Grade 1 Company last time out. However, that was back in August at Saratoga.
We haven't seen her in about 7 months, but I think you just said the reason why she's even money and the reason why she's a single, because she was facing Grade 1 Company at Saratoga. She ran in the test last time out. That was also with the addition of blinkers, and she's got some speed to her, and we were talking about this. It was just a kind of a crazy race all over the place. It was a very fast-paced. Paula Queen came from way back and upset at a big price. We saw Lightstream in there come to win next time out. Just some of the really top fillies of that time, and some upsets as well in that race.
As she was competing against some of the best 3-year-olds at that time, obviously, even in the test. The Delaware Oak, she was impressive. You look at Lightstream, a filly that I think has a lot of talent. You even see off the tracks in the Grade 1 test. Yes, the pace scenario was absolutely brutal in the test and paved the way for Paola Queen to pick up the pieces late. But I like the fact that the blinkers come off, although I still think she's got enough natural speed to potentially be the lone speed in here.
She really could. And there are some nice fillies and mares in here for sure. I just don't think they're quite at her level. You do have a horse that's facing, as we said, the top 3-year-old fillies. She is making the first start of her 4-year-old career, but it is Todd Pletcher, and he does do good work on the layoff. I believe we have a stat for Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, we do. We'll show you that stat here with 180-plus day layoffs on the dirt. Sprinting here at Gulfstream is 39%. Still a negative ROI, but finishing in the money 61% of the time. But, you know, this is your basic stat. I think that she's probably the exception, not the rule. This is a horse who's facing Grade 1 company last time out. Todd can get horses ready off the layoff. And we see maybe an alternative who I like for the exacted, the 5 Saving Time, who's been going against Stakes Company and even 2 other than Allowance Company. She's 3 for 23 on form. So I think that there's a big kind of discrepancy between her and the rest of the field.
There is, but her last win was actually in State Bred Stakes Company. She has been facing some nice horses recently. Since the layoff, and her 3 2017 races have been, again, against some strong company. I had a little bit of interest in the 4 Conquest Dynasty now with Nick Gonzalez, another one coming off of a layoff, but she's been working really sharply over the main track, even though she is shipping down from Woodbine, and it's actually her first time on a fast main track, so there's just lots of questions, but in my mind, this race was kind of Kinsley Kisses and everyone else.
I completely agree with you. As we get to the 10th race to kick off the final daily double of the day, we're getting to the turf at the mile, and wanted to go back and also show you the last performance of Royal Blessing, and also Sportscaster comes out of this race too.
And I wanted to show this. Royal Blessing is the number 6 that day, was just wide at the end and moving on really strongly. As you said, Sportscaster in this race, he ended up being 3rd behind Royal Blessing, the winner in here. But I thought it was a good race from Royal Blessing. You can see him get some room there now. He's closing very wide on the outside. I thought it was a really game win from him. I don't know about repeating in this field. He does meet a pretty good field, but there was a lot of tenacity in his performance, and I like him for exacta purposes. That was Sportscaster along the rail.
Royal Blessing definitely knows how to win. He's an 8-time winner, and you could see that he was just absolutely determined to get up and catch Eminent Force in there. But I also thought that it was an okay performance from Sportscaster, because Eminent Force was all over the racetrack during the stretch. He actually kind of came out on Royal Blessings at one point, then came in and kind of obstructed the path of Sportscaster. But I agree that this is a tougher field, and I do think that the 6 Class and Cash is the horse to beat. This horse has just been in phenomenal form ever since Jane Sibeli claimed him.
He really has been, and he didn't do anything really in the Claiming Crown Emerald 2 starts back, but that was kind of a wild race with a lot of early speed and a lot of horses closing from outside, whereas Keystone for Victory, the winner, got that perfect trip. But he came off of a bit of a freshening, he came back and he won, and I think he is the speed of the speed in here today.
I agree with you, and we'll show a stat for Jane Sibeli. This is 2nd off the layoff, actually on the turf at Gulfstream. This is 25%, big sample size of 53 horses in the money almost 50% of the time, and a positive ROI of $3.22. Now, you probably won't get a great price on this horse, but he meets the right level. I really like this distance for him. I do think, although he's won at a mile and a 16th, he's better kind of at these middle distances, say 7.5 or the mile. So he's going to be the horse to beat. But I do think we see cut to order kind of with coming back to his back form, actually, because this is a horse who faced Grade 2 company, even starter handicap with stakes company before, and he was so good against them. He kind of went through a little bit of a lull in form, but last time out, Nick Juarez with a beautiful ride, getting aggressive with his horse, making him sit closer to the pace, and it made the difference. He won by open lengths last time out.
He did. It was a really impressive performance, and that was in the Little Magician. We did see Acknowledge come back to win the next time out, and I really liked that race from him. I do really like him in this spot, too, and I think that they've kind of figured him out, too. Plus, he was cutting back in distance. He ran at a mile and an eighth 2 starts back, and he, too, I like around this mile distance, too.
And just sitting closer to the pace because he doesn't look like a closer. He's more tactical than that. So I did land on the 3, but totally respect the 6 Class and Cash in here. Okay, so you are using the 1 Royal Blessings out of that last race as well. As we get to today's finale, this is the 11th and final race on this Friday program, Beat the Expert Day. We head out to the turf at 7.5 furlong for this maiden $20,000 event. And for the finale, the 3, More Alex, getting that class relief.
I had a tough time with this race, I will be honest.
Did too.
And I think,
look at all the colors on the back of this
I think we covered most of it. Looks like the 3 horses, the only one we agree on even a little bit. So that was where I landed on top with that class relief, as you said. And I believe that we both spread in this finale because you never know what can happen in the last race sometimes. So going from maiden 50,000 to maiden 20, I thought that this horse actually ran pretty well last time out. I, to be honest, really didn't want to pick him on top because it looks like the break is just the biggest problem for him. We did see Aquatine, the 3rd place finisher last time out, come back to win the next time at the 74 Beyer speed figure. But the comments, dwell to the start, slow start. It just has a trouble getting out of the break. So I'm hoping with some class relief, he just might be stronger, a little bit stronger than some of the other horses he'll face in here today.
He's definitely the class in the race, and by all means, I think you should use this horse in the pick 6 and in that pick 5, whatever multi-race bets that you're planning on betting. And that's what makes this race so fun, because you do have that single and Kinsley Kisses earlier in the card, so you can spread and try to make this ticket a little bit more valuable in the finale. The 7 Wathnon was one that caught my eye. This is first off the claim for Murat Sankal, and he's claiming this horse off of Todd Pletcher. Never an easy thing to do, but he is listed as a first-time gelding. It seems like they've made some adjustments with him, and now he's cutting back in distance, and I think that's key. He doesn't want to go 1 mile and an eighth on the turf, so the cut back to more of a sprinter-type distance will help him. He ran well against maiden $20,000 company prior to the claim at this distance too, and he's just a horse that I thought could probably improve 3rd start off with the layoff. Remember coming off that layoff, that was when he did face that maiden $20,000 level.
And as you said, that race last time out, I do think it was too long for him. It was also a turf labeled as good. He's now a gelding. The barn doesn't really do this that much. First off the claim on the turf, they are 0 for 6, but maybe this is a horse that just has a strong foundation under him. He was a $650,000 son of Kitten's Joy, so they definitely had higher hopes for him than where he's ended up. I did give a little bit more attention to the number 9 Disco Man, who I picked last time in a wide open field, and he actually ran a lot better than I expected. So I'll stick with him in the exacta today. He was just beaten a length last time out by Rediscover, finally breaking his maiden.
And that is why I don't like this horse, is because he was beaten by Rediscover, who has been a long time
Maybe
maiden.
he was due.
He was definitely due, but that is the main reason why I can't pick that horse. Just going with some question mark types of horses like the 4 Verse getting to the turf for the first time. He's by Medaglia d'Oro on the bottom side, Monarchos, Pedigree, and even the 6 Expedient second-time starter for Todd Pletcher getting a class relief. Not really showing up first time out, though, but probably one to use with the blinkers on in the class relief. So that is a race that's kind of all over the place. I would suggest spreading with a couple of horses in the final leg of the pick 6 and those multi-race bets. But that is a wrap for us here on Gulfstream today. A reminder that Rainbow 6 carryover is over $1 million today, and it starts in the 6th race. So we're going to step aside, and Pete Aiello will bring you up to date on all those scratches and changes right after this. Good luck.
We have to take care of these horses that, give us so much joy.